All right, Monica, thank you so much. And again, we've all been watching this story so closely. So we have two guests who will be joining us, including the man who's sitting right down with us.
Yes, of course, David Caplan. Have to talk about right off the bat. You have his situation right now. They say critical. That's what he's in right now. He's responding though to surgeons, which is a good thing.
Yeah, so this is good news that he is responding to surgeons, but he still remains in critical condition. So by no means is he out of the woods. His publicist yesterday said that he will remain in this hospital in New Jersey for several more weeks. He had surgery on Sunday on his leg because, you know, he is, like you guys have said, he has a broken leg, several broken ribs, a broken femur, a broken nose. So there's a lot of work to do. And to be honest, there's probably a lot more injuries, the more than just broken bones that we don't know about. But, you know, it could be worse, of course.
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking to Dr. Steve earlier, and he was saying exactly what you just said. Look, the fact that there are so many broken bones indicates that these are severe injuries and some other things that we may not be hearing. Let's also talk about his mentor who lost his life in that crash. I mean, he was a guy who Tracy Morgan looked up to and loved and now is lost. Yeah,
so Jimmy Mack, he was one of the passengers and he died. And this is really devastating because he was actually served as a writer for him as well. So he was a mentor. He was really a creative force. I mean, and in fact, you know, Tracy Morgan, we know his personality. It's outlandish and sort of flamboyant. And a lot of that voice came from Jimmy because he wrote a lot of his jokes and he was really an inspiration. So huge loss for him personally.
All right. And we want to bring in Kenneth Delvecchio. You're also a former judge. So talk to us about the charges of the truck driver itself and what does that mean?
Well, you know, I think we have to be concerned about whether or not this is a knee-jerk reaction. Clearly, we had a tragic accident that occurred here. The question is, was this criminal? The driver is charged under the death by auto statute in New Jersey, commonly known as vehicular homicide. It's not enough just simply that somebody was killed during an accident that somebody caused. It's not even enough if there was negligent behavior.
Does that require intent? Do you have to, is there an intent element?
Absolutely. That's what exactly it is in criminal law. There's mens rea, right, which is criminal intent. It's required in the death by auto statute for there to be reckless driving. And recklessness is a very high standard to meet in driving. It's, you know, people commonly get tickets for careless driving, and then there's reckless driving. Reckless driving is something like going 130 miles per hour while eating a lobster tail.
You know you're putting yourself at risk when you're driving 130 miles an hour. You know, it's interesting when we talk about this case, the idea that maybe this guy was dozing off. In a lot of these cases, I feel like people aren't prosecuted. Typically, when people doze off and cause accidents. What's your experience with this?
That's true. You know, all I can find so far is this dozing off nature, right? Yeah. You know, most of the time when you'll find a death by auto is a DWI. DWI in New Jersey is considered per se recklessness. Dozing off is kind of a mix mash. It's up to the prosecutor's office to make that call whether to charge, and ultimately it's up to a jury whether or not to find that dozing off constituted recklessness. I don't think that it does.
Okay, the driver actually had some tweets that are now going out there. Walmart says this guy didn't have a Twitter account, but a lot of publications, a lot of people are saying, yeah, there are tweets out there. In fact, let's put them on the screen. Supposedly the driver wrote two tweets that people are paying attention to. This first one, trying to win more than lose, driving trucks for a living, hashtag Walmart. And then the second tweet, it's my road, move or get hit. Boy, boy. That is tough, and if this ever goes to a jury, that's going to be, would they not hear that? And wouldn't that be a tough thing for them to hear?
It's extremely unlikely they would hear that. It makes for salacious media and water cooler talk, but that's unlikely to come in during a trial because it's not relevant. Those are general statements that are so far removed from the case. Had he been tweeting to somebody while he was driving and saying this, then they're going to say, the intent level might even go to purposeful behavior and up to a murder charge, but that doesn't seem to be the case here.
Can you quickly tell us what this means for Walmart? I mean, they came out with a statement as well. So what does it mean for them? Because they said if it was, they would take full responsibility.
Okay. It means nothing for them under criminal law. It could mean something for them, certainly, though, in a civil lawsuit. I think no matter what, they're going to face a significant civil lawsuit and lose if the case is this guy was dozing off. Whether or not he ultimately gets prosecuted is another story. Whether or not he ultimately gets convicted is even a greater story.
Well, there's a higher standard, of course, for the criminal versus the civil, which we know. David, I want to turn to you and go back to the celebrity angle of this, because I know that Hollywood, a lot of big names, they are out tweeting, they are talking. I mean, Tracy Morgan, he's a guy a lot of us love.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we're seeing people really from all worlds of celebrity. You're having people like Diddy, so people sort of from the world of music. You're having lots of actors, reality stars, everyone from like, the Kardashians at one end, and really everyone in between. There's just been this huge outpouring because he was this great, everyone loves here. He was this great actor in 30 Rock. People love that. It's on now, we're watching it, so it's amazing. I mean, it's too bad Tina Fey and people like that aren't on Twitter because we'd be hearing a lot more from them. Yeah. But it's really heartwarming, and it's just amazing because people you didn't think that are connected to him are just, out there and really emotional about it.
Yeah, well, and it's good to hear at least that his condition is improving. Gentlemen, thank you both for coming in and providing insights. Very different insights, but both very valuable insights on this Monday morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Time now is 8:22. We have much more ahead here as we continue in the morning news.